You can hook up different types of columns onto the AKTA, and the way that you're going to attach them is going to be different whether you're working with one of these small columns or one of the bigger columns. And so all of them are going to go into this column valve, but these ones are going to need tubing on the top and the bottom, whereas these guys just screw into the bottom. And so in your column valve, you've got like an A and a B. And if you've got a fancy column valve, then you've got a lot of A's and B's. But this is one A and one B. The liquid is going to come out of the A, and then it goes through the column and into the B. When you get these columns, so these like 1 mil or 5 mil columns, on the bottom, this is just a little like snap closure thing. Just snap it off. But on the top, this is like a plug. And so what that you do is you're basically going to connect this to here, and then this is going to screw into the bottom. What I like to do is make sure that all the connections are kind of flowing through and that I'm not introducing air into here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to here, set the pressure limit beforehand so you make sure you're not going to over pressurize things, and then keep it at a low rate. So I'll set it at like 0.2 mils per minute, and I'll set that flow rate. Now I need to tell it to go to the column downflow. Now if I come over here, I should see that I have liquid coming out of here. Whenever you do a fitting with one of these, when you connect the tubing, you want to make sure that it's tight, and so you want to do it so have the tubing a little out, and then wait until there's a drop, kind of like drop it in to the surface. You want to press down, keep pressing down while you twist to make sure it's nice and tight. And then you want to wait and see that it comes out the other end. And so I see that it's going through the column. Great. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect it to this port. This can get a little tricky. You need to make sure that your wiring, your tubing is the right size. And because if the tubing isn't the right size, then you're going to have it kind of like warp, or you're going to have too much extra tubing, and then it's going to cause issues too. And if you need it, there's a tube gutter. And so also what can cause issues is you have to kind of screw it in at an angle. And if you don't have it at the right angle, then it's not going to screw in right. Sometimes what can help is if you keep this part a little loose while you're doing it, and then kind of tighten it up at the end. You need to make sure that if you kind of like tug on it, it's not going to come out. And if it is coming out, you need to screw it in more. And so sometimes things can get messed up when you're trying to connect it and then you're twisting it and this gets kind of loose. And so you want to make sure that it's nice and tight. And you might have to kind of loosen one and then tighten one and then loosen one and tighten one in order to get it. And so I've got that, but now I want to make sure that it's not leaking. And so what you do is you want to take just like a Kim wipe and wipe the surfaces, because when we wanted to go wet to wet, but we wanted now to make sure that we're not leaking. And so you just want to kind of like watch it and make sure that it's not leaking. And now you can come over and just make sure that your UV trace is good, that your pressure is good, and all of that. Once you see that all's good, you don't have any leaks, you're good to go and actually like start your method and stuff. Even if you check it when it's doing that connection, you want to check again when it's actually running and make sure it's not leaking.